Call to order the regular council meeting for the town of Evansville. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Chad Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Knopp.
Here.
Councilmember Candace Machado. Here. Councilmember Michael Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Kathy Stefan.
Here.
Town Attorney Leah Scott. Here. Chief of Police Mike Thompson. Fire Chief Leo Lawson. Public Works Director Paul Hansen. Town Clerk Janelle Underwood and the rest of the citizens.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item 1, the consent agenda. The approval of the regular meeting minutes for March 8th, 2021. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Item number 2, abatement of 4680 East Yellowstone Highway. I believe we have Mr. Fortin. If you'd like to approach the bench.
And I would like to bring my property manager with me as well.
Okay, absolutely.
All right, so I'm Curtis Fortin. 14 Properties is my business here in town, and I pay, whatever a permit for that. Just a couple things about me here. I served in the Army honorably. I'm a college graduate. I've owned property in the town of Evansville for 28 years. I've never been in front of the council in ever. So I've owned property for 28 years. I grew up with my grandpa, the chief of police in Upton, Wyoming. He was the chief of police for 35 years. Leonard Whistler's his name. Anyway, so now on the council meeting that was held on the 8th, was it? Okay, so I watched the council meeting on YouTube, and I believe there's some misinformation. The council asked the chief if he was able to get in touch with me. And he said something to the fact that he didn't see me in town or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. The chief has my personal cell phone number. And he actually has called me at least on one occasion to where 42 Oklahoma, where he was trying to get a bad guy out of my property. And so, so the chief's got my phone number. That would be a reasonable contact, I believe. There was also some information in that meeting that the chief said something to the effect of that's just the way he is, meaning me, because I didn't get the notice or didn't take care of the matter or whatever, right? I've never been notified of the matter. I've never been served. I've never been addressed. I've never been waved down. I've never been flagged. I never did smoke signals, nothing. And my property manager, Jen here, the compliance officer, what's her name?
Randy.
The compliance officer has my personal phone number as well. And Jen and the compliance officer communicate back and forth to alleviate paperwork. Like if they're on one of my said property, there is, whatever junk or debris or whatever. And so she'll just call Jen. We take care of it. We let the compliance officer know that the whatever the junk or whatever is taken care of. She goes by, approves it, just calls up Jen. And so, it's that simple. There's never been no issues in the past. And we've even actually had issues with other things, and where Jen then went to the compliance officer saying, hey, it's said address. We got a bunch of stuff going on, the tenant, and we're going to get it taken care of. We're sorry, and then the compliance officer checks it after. And that's even without a verbal notice from the compliance officer. Also, my manager has, there was one time where the chief give some written notices, and I don't even remember how I was given them. How was I given them?
He mailed them to your residence.
He what?
Mailed them to your residence.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he mailed them to my personal residence. And so I immediately then, got them to Jen and had Jen personally contact the chief and come down here and sit with the chief and say, hey, there's a junk car here. There's a junk car there. There's this, there, that. We will go, and do everything to the ends of the earth, to get this taken care of, and we did. And so I didn't have to go any further than that. And that was, what year was that?
2000.
That was 2018. And that's the only time I've ever actually been given any notices.
No, 2019, sorry.
Okay. And then also the council asked the chief in that meeting if there's been previous issues with me. And the chief answered, there's a Facebook page on him, and he was on the news, meaning me. Okay. I'm not sure what a Facebook page about somebody means. To me, that's irrelevant to anything. And being on the news, I'm not sure what relevance that is either. So that was the two specific reasons he gave the council saying that previous issues with me. That has nothing to do with the chief,
I don't believe that has anything to do with the issue either.
Right.
So,
Well, I'm just letting you know, because you guys made a decision, okay, based on the chief's testimony or the chief's direction, and you got, you know what I mean?
I think that was additional input. We made a decision on the state of the property and the trailer that's there is what.
Could I say something? I have several notices here that I've given Frank Stalls, who actually owns the trailer, in the past about the property needing to be cleaned up. There were on several occasions he did not get it done. So I sent my maintenance over to clean up what they could. But he was like, oh, you can't throw away my lawnmower. You can't throw away this. But I did get the maintenance guys over there, and then he'd bring more stuff in. This has been an ongoing issue with him.
And, anybody that's dealt with Frank can attest that he's not the most easiest person on the planet to deal with. And I'm not sure if he's all there actually mentally to even make a decision, to be honest with you. I brought up you guys' ordinance. Actually, Jen did. I won't even take credit for it. On 14.1.2, I read through there, and then, and it goes clear on to the next page. And then I went through 14.1.5 and then 14.2.1. And, all those, they're talking about junk and debris and all this and that and everything. Right. And I did not read anything that related to the property owner being responsible for said disposal. I mean, it talks about abandoned cars or cars that don't meet the whatever. And if the owner of the car, can pay the city or pay the towing company, they can get their car back. I mean, it's right in your guys' ordinance here.
Yeah, as you and I spoke 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
That was a state statute that says that if we need to clean up the town, that it's the property owner's responsibility. And I believe I gave you that statute number during our phone conversation, if I was recall.
Mayor, also, if I may, and for Mayor and council who have not met me, my name is Olivia Stadelli, and I'm the attorney handling this matter since Williams Porter has conflicted out. Town ordinances 19-1-1 through 19-1-4 also gives the town the authority to clean up a property that has been declared a public nuisance, such as this one. And the owner of the property itself is responsible for abating the nuisance. And if they do not do so, the town can charge it back to them. And if they don't pay it, the town can file a lien against the property. I would also take issue with Mr. Fortin's statement saying that he has never been served. On November 6, 2020, the order declaring public nuisance was filed with the court. It was also posted on the property and personally served on Mr. Fortin and Mr. Sias, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name. And I know Mr. Fortin was served because on November 19th, 2020, he filed a response with the court. Then on January 20th, 2021, we sent Mr. Fortin a letter via certified mail to both his business and home address.
What date was that, ma'am?
January 20th, 2021. And
Okay.
You and I discussed this in our phone call, but I'm addressing the council. We sent Mr. Fortin a letter via certified mail to his business and to his home, notifying him that the court had declared the property a public nuisance pursuant to town ordinances 19-1-1 through 19-1-4. And that he had 3 days to clean up the property. And if he didn't, the town could abate the nuisance and charge him back. We also posted this notice on the property, which is allowed under town ordinance. Both forms of these notice, certified mail and posting on the property, are allowed under the ordinance. The certified letter to Mr. Fortin's business address came back as rejected. And this is after he was already aware of the suit and had filed a response. And the certified letter to his home address came back as unable to forward. However, because the chief posted the notice on the property, he was properly served under the town ordinance. Additionally, he called me on March 10th, 2021, and we had a lengthy conversation where I informed him what was going on, told him again that he had been sent these items via certified mail, told him it had been posted on the property, and at his request, I emailed him a copy of all relevant documents on that same day, which he confirmed receipt of, and was told him that if he did not abate the nuisance, then by March 9th, so the original service date was January 20th of 2021, or if he did not clean it up by March 19th, the town would do it for him. So he was notified on multiple occasions and given much more time than the original 3 days required under the town ordinance. So I sympathize with Mr. Fortin's situation. I can empathize with it. However, the ordinances themselves and state statute are clear that he is responsible to abate the nuisance on his property, and that if he cannot or will not do it, the town may do it for him and charge him back for the reasonable cost of doing so.
I believe you and I spoke on the 11th, the Thursday.
Whatever it was, so I could get But I mean, I wasn't even aware of the first council meeting, and I never got the certified things that she's talking about. I don't know what all that's about. And then she did say something that, okay. And first of all, I'm not denying that the property is a nuisance. I mean, it is. Let's be real. And she just said the property owner is responsible. I'm cleaning. I've hired Trish and her boyfriend to clean the property. And she spent a day and a half cleaning up the property. And then we got the big snowstorm, and then we haven't did anything. You can't even see anything now.
Yeah,
Looks good. I took pictures today.
the camper is gone. The camper shell, then we got the snowstorm. But the matter is the mobile home.
Correct.
That is Frank's home. Yes, I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't let one of my relatives live there. But the fact of the matter is the title's in his name. That's his home. Now, we've talked to him about taking it down, and he says there's stuff in there that he still wants. But like I said, I wouldn't allow, but we tried to get him out of there before. That's his house, and he doesn't want us to touch it. So what do we do?
Well, I think that's the crux of the problem, I believe, is the mobile home is deemed uninhabitable. Is that correct?
It's deemed uninhabitable, and it's also been deemed a public nuisance. And so the person who owns the property situated under the mobile home has the responsibility under town ordinance.
Can you point that?
Clearing the property. And also, I would say, Mr. Fortin himself has legal counsel. We talked about it for a while during our phone call. And, if he wants to pursue eviction options against Mr. Sayers, he's more than welcome to do that.
Right,
but the
right
fact
now,
remains that the town ordinance makes him responsible for clearing the property and abating the nuisance. I understand he doesn't like that. I understand he feels it's impossible because he can't get a permit from the county to haul the trailer to the dump. I empathize with all of that, but the town ordinances say what the town ordinances say.
Right now,
Thank you for your opinion.
But,
I appreciate it. Let me talk, please. Okay, so it says the property owner. Now where's this defined at? Property owner. Okay, the property that's a nuisance. Okay, and the ground, I've already started cleaning up the ground. The property that's the nuisance is the mobile home. I am not the property owner of the mobile home. I am not.
Technically incorrect under the court's order because
Please show that to me.
The property described was both the real property and the mobile home and the trailer that are situated on the real property. And so he's responsible for clearing the real property. Like I said, I empathize with what he's saying here, but the ordinances read the way the ordinances read.
Okay, again, I'm going to argue the fact. The property itself, the ground, we started cleaning up.
Well, I think if I recall, the state statute does specify landowner.
Correct.
It does not specify property owner. So there's some difference there.
Well, and I haven't seen that in the statute.
Well, I did give you the statute number.
I don't remember that, but I apologize.
Well, I had actually have a witness in here that was in the call.
and she said about the eviction.
Who was the witness?
The fire chief, Leo Molsom. And Janelle was also, they actually provided me the state statute while I was on the phone with you so that I could read it to you over the phone, which I did, and then provided you.
And I'm
but it's
denying.
Yeah, we had this discussion.
Yeah.
The problem is that the trailer needs to get taken care of.
And I agree with that. I agree with that. And, if this, here can give me permission to tear somebody else's property down, I'm willing to do it.
Well, another thing we had discussed was you looking into the rules and regulations requiring putting in a bid. Did you go into that as we had discussed?
I looked into them a little bit, but I mean, to be completely honest with you, I have been sick since I got the first COVID shot. Okay. I don't know what it did to me, and it raised my blood sugar over 300. And so I've not did a lot. And that's why I don't even recall you give me the statute, but I believe you. I'm not saying you didn't. And I know I was driving that day, but, and I got my second COVID shot 10 days ago or something. You know, I looked into it some, but I was going to bring it to the council here where I would, you know, if I'm given permission.
Well, I think it's an uphill battle because there's a lot of regulations that go along with removing something like that. Being licensed with the state, there's a bunch of regulations you have to abide by with the state, asbestos inspection. So there's a lot of components to that. And I believe just the removal at the dump is an $1,800 fee, I believe. So.
And if a permit could be given to pull the trailer out there.
Well, I guess you and I spoke with this, and I think I'm going to let the other council chime in here, monopolizing the conversation. But I was hoping that you were going to come today with some steps that you've done. I mean, if you could convince the property owner to give you the permission to haul it away, you could have hauled it away and we would have nothing to discuss today. So
It snowed 29 inches.
Oh, I understand. But even if you came and said, hey, I'm hauling it away next week. But I'm assuming you don't have that permission at this point in time.
I don't have the permission, but I don't have the non-permission. And he wants to get some personal items out of there. And I told him, get them out, you know, I mean, and he doesn't have a vehicle. He's disabled, you know.
Have you served him with any paperwork showing that he has so many days to get his property out of there? So
No.
you can-
I've not done anything in that. And,
Do you have legal service? Because she said you had legal service, correct?
huh?
Do you have legal service that you have spoken with someone about this?
No, she was talking about counsel. I've talked to
Okay.
attorneys, but I don't have counsel
Okay.
on this.
And did you
Um,
ask the attorneys what they recommend for you to do in this situation? Have you asked any of them
Well,
that?
we're still, you know, where are we at in COVID? Where are we at there?
This has nothing to do with COVID. This has something to do with you've already been served.
I cannot evict.
Actually, you can evict under COVID currently. You have to meet very specific requirements not to be evicted under the CARES Act, under the CDC guidance. He would have to provide you with a declaration stating that he can't be evicted, that he is in fact homeless. He would also have to be making partial rental payments. The Wyoming Recovery Act or Rental Enforcement Act hasn't even begun taking applications for eviction relief yet. So you can evict under COVID. He also would have to be subject to a federally backed mortgage to get any kind of relief, which I don't believe Mr. Saez is.
Yeah, evictions
So
have been
he's
going
not-
on for a whole year, so
Pardon me?
the judges have approved evictions ever since COVID started. So there has never been a downfall in evictions. Evictions have still been going without the proper document, like Mr. Dillis has said.
Is he living there currently?
No.
No,
So
he's
he
at the
already has another
homeless shelter.
He has another residence.
So-
He does.
There is another piece to this story that council should be aware of is that I believe it was somewhere in this process, the homeowner was living there, fell through the floor and became stuck in there. And I believe you found him 5 days later and he had to be taken out. From my understanding, pretty interesting because it was hard to get access.
Because they couldn't even get the door open and everything. Yeah. I mean, I'm not denying that the place is a nuisance.
Mhm.
Again, I don't own it. I mean, and then if I'm even given the permission, you know, to do anything with it, you know, I mean, I looked up and it was talking about licenses and stuff like that too. And, you know, whether I could get those licenses or not, I don't know.
Well, I think in my mind, that's the crux of this here is that, you know, it needs to get dealt with. We need to get it out. You're going to incur costs one way or the other, whether you're going to move it out or whether we're going to move it out. And right now, the town has permission from the courts to get this done. So we have the ability to get rid of the trailer and get it out and take care of, it's a hazard. I mean, some little kid were to break in there and fall, get stuck. I mean, there's a lot of issues, fire. There's a lot of issues with that trailer that we need to get rid of it. So
what was your proposal here tonight for us to show us that you were going to take this on yourself instead of the town having to handle it?
Well, I mean, okay, a few things. First, we already started cleaning up the lot, itself. And I think it was the compliance officer actually drove by and even noted it, because she came by twice, and then 2 days later, the snowstorm hit. And then, we got the people that said they own the camper, and with Frank's permission, the camper's out of there now.
So the camper is gone.
Yep. And they say they own the doghouse. And Trish, you sent them another text today,
Yes, I did.
and did they respond?
She said tomorrow.
She was in Las Vegas when we sent the first text about getting the doghouse out of there.
So, but then as far as, the lot itself, and then there's so much crap underneath that trailer. I mean, and I've got Frank's permission to clean up at least the crap in the yard and anything valuable I will set to the side, and I'll give him, X, and he can take it to wherever, he's going to store it or whatever. But I ask him permission to tear the mobile home down or move it out. And he started talking about Crazy Horse and General Custer and stuff. So, I
So
don't
you have spoke to him about,
several times.
okay.
Yep.
Have you taken anything to him? Or have you guys found anything inside that needs to be taken to him yet that you specifically asked for?
He hasn't specifically asked for anything, and I'm not going to go in there.
Okay.
I mean, it's that bad. I mean, honestly, I don't know how there could be anything worth value in there, but that's not, I don't have that, authority. And I've asked Frank to come over there and get anything that he wanted out of there. And he said he would. Well, that's what I said. 2 days later, the snowstorm hit. And so I've kind of been shut down on doing any of that going forward. I was going to, and again, also I was going to ask then if I could get permission, to tear it down, under mitigating circumstances, because you guys have the authority or take it to the dump. I have a mobile home toter person,
Kenny's Mobile Home Services.
He said that he would tow it there.
He did?
Yep. And because he's got the contract in Evansville for the Aspens, he's toting every single trailer out of there, and so I got in with him, and so I did some stuff, but he said he would move it for me. If, he could get the permits and stuff, whatever, and the authority, because as it is right now to go in the county, it's the age and everything. But and again, that's where I was going to ask here, is if you guys, I guess, can override that. And if we can, even if it is movable, it might not be movable,
And how would you take care of it then if it's not being able to be moved?
I could tear it down on site. I've personally tore down 2 mobile homes in the city of Evansville by myself, or I shouldn't say by myself. I did one by myself at 1149 5th Street. You're more than welcome to check. And then right next door, a trailer partly caught on fire, and me and my workers tore it down. Okay. And then I've also did one in the city of Casper. So, I'm aware of what to do, and at the beginning, I said I'm college educated, I'm pretty smart and I can look this stuff up and stuff, but there was a license, involved, and like I said, I don't even know if I can get that license, and then you probably have to have, $10 million liability. I don't know, I didn't want to alert my insurance company if I wasn't going to be able to do it or whatever, because, then all of a sudden they think, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm willing to do whatever.
Well, we're just asking you, what are your next steps?
Well, as soon as the snow clears, at the very least, get the whole yard. You know what I mean? And everything underneath it gone.
And
You
I,
know?
You can't promise that you'll take care of.
I can serve Frank and tell him that he's got, I don't know, I'll have to look up the statutes on that, for the evictions or
And
laws to serve him to get his personal property.
because he's
I
a
can do that.
disabled Native American, okay? So there's not just COVID, but there's all kinds of other things here. I mean, that, and the council that I did talk to advised me not to evict him, actually, because of the disabled Native American, just them two.
What council?
What council would that be?
I didn't pay them money, so I'm not gonna.
They've
So,
invited you
I
in.
would like to know because I know I'm one of the ones that you called, and I know I didn't advise you of that.
What's your name?
Michael Scott.
And what? Okay, you were a councilman.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm one of the councilmen.
I'm not gonna disclose the attorney's name.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So it was an attorney that you talked to instead of the council?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Did I say councilman?
Well, you just said council.
I don't know what I'm doing. But I mean, and, so, and like, even like the couple attorneys I talked to, they really don't want to get involved in this,
What were the reasons?
Well, I mean, oh my goodness. There's conflict of interest on part of it. And then, being the liability part on me, tearing it down to somebody getting hurt, and then the disabled, elderly Native American. It brings in this whole federal aspect that the two that I talked to had no idea what the federal aspect brings in with all that.
The information that you brought to us, I'm not understanding why you're not willing or wanting us to take care of this for you, and you just pay us when we.
That sounds great. I mean, man, if I could get somebody to pay my bills, I would too.
No,
I mean,
I'm saying, if it comes down to it, they've already said that we have permission to take care of this nuisance. So I don't understand why you're here tonight if you're not, or if you don't feel like you can take care of the nuisance. I don't understand why you're here, because the nuisance is gonna have to be taken care of.
Sure.
Whether it's taken care of from us or taken care of from you.
and I agree with you.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I guess I would ask the council for additional time, again, to let the snow at least get down so I can get the yard and underneath it and see if we can get axles put on it, or, tires aired up and stuff, and then, are you guys willing to get a permit or sell us a permit for Ken to pull it out to the dump?
I don't know that the town of Evansville can override county permitting requirements. That's why I say I do empathize with Mr. Fortin's situation, that because he's not the titled owner of the mobile home, he's not going to be able to get a permit from the county. To me, that's why it makes a heck of a lot more sense for the town to do it and for him to reimburse the town.
Well, that's why, that's what I'm asking, is why I don't understand why you are.
Because if I would give a bid to make money, profit, because that's what a company's going to do. They want to make profit. They don't want to lose money. And so they're going to give a $5,000 bid, whatever, well, I mean, I can do it for $3,000 without no profit.
But
So-
you've already said that you've been told by attorneys that that's not the way to go in the first place,
They've advised me,
not to do that.
but I don't have to, I did not retain them. I did not, nothing. I just simply asked, you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm willing to do it to save myself a couple grand, and where you said the asbestos, I just haven't moved forward on that.
Well, that and the state licensing and the headache you have, so are you saying that you'd be more than happy to pay $3,000 to have this headache gone? My concern here is, and you have displayed it over and over again, of the difficulties that you have dealing with this.
Absolutely.
And it's
I
going
will
to
give
cost
this-
you a lot of time and money and headache.
I don't
to
have the
deal with
3,000 on me, but I will pay the 3,000.
We'll bill you. You'll pay the $3,000. Okay. So I understand your situation you're in and am empathetic to it. You were kind of limited in what you could do. So I don't know if that would be something that council would entertain, the fact of perhaps charging Mr. Fortin $3,000 and the town making the rest of it go away.
And that's just for the mobile home. We can continue to clean up the
Well,
property.
just wait, Jen. I mean, what is the city willing to do though?
Well, that's, I think, discussion we need to have. So
Yeah, for 3,000, because that's pretty cheap anyway, based on our bids. That would be only removing the trailer. I would want it written in writing that you would be responsible within 30 days or whatever the county or the council sees fit to be completely cleaned up after said trailer was moved.
The only, stipulation in that, and if your attorney wants to write that up, I'll sign it. But it's weather permitting. I want to make sure it's in there. Because again, the yard would be 100% cleaned up right now at this meeting. And that was my intention.
Well, I know you said there was a lot of stuff under the trailer, so once they move that trailer, all that stuff's still gonna be there.
Oh, no. The stuff's coming out before the trailer.
Yeah, Trish already, her and her boyfriend already started
I mean, that's
removing
what
the stuff from underneath.
I hired them for.
Yeah.
Everything underneath, because
I
I
just wanna
got,
make sure we're all on the same page, that's why I'm
Yes.
asking questions.
and I have Frank's permission to move everything in the yard and everything underneath it. So he's given me that permission. But-
What about Frank and living there? I know he's not currently residing there, but like you said, you do not have permission to demo the trailer without his permission or, of course,
sir.
eviction. And then, of course, after the eviction process, you're probably going to have to go and get a title of some sort, abandoned vehicle or abandoned whatever, to file for that if he doesn't claim it. Or something along that line
Yes.
to own the trailer, because you'll have to own the trailer before you can demo it.
Well, and if the stipulations, whatever, I mean,
I'm just trying to get a time frame. That's all I'm trying to ask.
I do not know if Frank will give me, I mean, and I don't want to be, beat up on a paralyzed Native American.
I honestly think that Frank is not mentally capable of making a decision like that.
Again, I talked to him and he started telling me about Chief Crazy Horse and,
Yeah, he doesn't make any sense.
I mean, and he just won't
You
stop.
have permission though, as far as removing the trailer.
Correct. Yeah, the town has the authority under the ordinances to abate the nuisance. I do want to point out that I just saw this, the lowest bid to remove the trailer, demolish and remove one mobile home camper, which is gone, and clean up debris is $4,100. Now, if the camper's already gone and the debris's gone, I imagine that bid would be lower just to demolish and remove the trailer.
Right.
But yeah, you have the ordinance under the authority, excuse me, under the town ordinances and the state statute to abate the nuisance.
So as long as we have it in writing done, that's the only thing I would ask is for it to be in writing to be completely cleaned up within a certain period of time after said trailer was moved by us.
Chief, do you have something to add before we go too far down this rabbit hole?
In listening back and forth to the conversation, a couple of things I should be aware of. This all started with Frank being stuck in the trailer for 5 days. What's not in the paperwork was his getting sick from the black mold, which is inside that trailer. And for Mr. Fortin to remove it, we would have to have a title to the trailer, where the town does not, because we have a court order. So it shortens and simplifies the abatement of this health and safety issue in the community. And that's, with the back and forth, it clearly is, Frank is not going to be back in that trailer. The back and forth process when he went to the mission, where it was, and they had somebody assist him with going to the apartment. He was reluctant to do the apartment thing until the 5-day incident at the trailer, to which he got super sick, is my understanding. And that's when he decided, I'm living in an apartment. And that was long before we did the initial filing, which I gave the bid and all the tabs here. So if I remember right, it was December 26th or something, towards the end of December, if I remember right, or maybe middle December. So he, outside of that 5 days, he hasn't been at that trailer since then. Like, nobody in the right mind would go in that trailer as that guy. Clearly. So the simplest form is for the town really to think about.
In my opinion, that's what has to happen. The town needs to get rid of this. We have the opportunity to do it now. We need to get it out as quickly as possible. So that, to me, that we have an obligation to get it out, and I understand to work with you, but I don't feel we have the time. I mean, it needs to be taken care of and gotten out. So
I can empathize with, Mr. Fortin also, but, looking at the lowest quote that we do have, the completion date would be, the end of April. And unfortunately, I don't see a reasonable time frame if, Mr. Fortin, to be able to accomplish all those tasks that you have said that you can do legally in that time frame also.
And you're probably right, And so then, again, my proposal of the $3,000, I mean, what do you guys, I pay you guys $3,000. I clean up the whole yard and everything. We put it in writing. Weather permitting, again, there's a foot of snow still laying around, it just stinks.
And weather, is unfortunate that it did snow 29 inches here. But again, it is a nuisance, and it is something that we do have that opportunity, like Mr. Mayor said, to take care of this situation now, then wait until this is Wyoming. It can snow again next month, another 3 feet.
Right.
And what was the soonest date that you got the bid that you were by? Did you have a
April
date?
30th.
April 30th.
April 30th.
And I'm sure it's in their contract, though, if the weather, they have to have additional time too, if the weather, you know what I mean? Because weather is a real issue, it really is. An inch of snow, is no big deal. I don't see us getting another 29 inches, but, half a dozen inches once or twice or something supposed to snow tomorrow. I don't know what they're saying there, but.
I have no problem adding a clause for a force majeure event, like a giant snowstorm. However, like a couple inches here or there shouldn't, in my mind, make that much of a difference.
Or rain. That should be-
Correct, yeah,
It
but
should be-
But something completely out of the ordinary, like 29 inches of snow, I believe that would fall under force majeure and, would allow for extra time. I'm okay with that.
I got a question. For Mr. Dowd. If we went ahead and let Mr. Fortin do what he says and give him a time frame similar to the time frame that we have from, this quote, and for some reason he didn't accomplish that, what's our next steps and how quickly would we have to start over?
Sure.
And
So
how quickly can we get that taken care of?
there are a couple of different options that I see. My thought is to draft this up as a settlement agreement, basically, because that's what it is. And if he doesn't do it, we can include terms for things like specific performance. But if there's breach, we sue for specific performance and for, damages under the contract. And, we would have 20 days to respond and it would play out.
How about that it would make me responsible for the 1,100 difference if I didn't do my obligation?
But I don't think that they would charge us this $1,100 to come and re-clean up the rest when they could have just made it one job. This would be a second job, and we would be billed differently for a second job. So we would be billed more.
Well, I'm just, I'm
No,
not,
I understand,
I'm
and I
not going to
appreciate it.
renege, but, I know you guys don't know me, but.
We're just trying to find,
a happy medium, and that's what we're trying
Because.
to
And that's what I'm
we
trying to do,
understand.
too.
We understand what you're going through. I'm not in that position, but I do empathize with what you're dealing with. I really do. And we are listening. So we're trying to figure out the best way for the town and for you as a person in this town.
Right.
Because we're not trying to judge. We're trying to just fix the problem.
28-year resident.
Chief, you have something else?
Just as an example, talking about weather, we did this pavement on Oklahoma Street here. It was done by a contractor. Most of these people have the equipment to deal with it, whether it's raining, snowing, etc. I don't think weather probably is going to be an issue for a contracting company who has track hose and loaders and the things they use. Fire chief, what was it, 2 days they had? Oklahoma? Yeah, Oklahoma, 2 days ago. Like in Oklahoma, for those of you who are familiar with this property, had 3 times the amount of issues going on with this particular property in question. And they went in with track hoe, they had a couple dump trucks come in because it was not quote movable and literally destroyed it. I mean, it was done in 2 days. So I don't perceive weather being an issue in this if we're using a contracting company.
Just FYI too, I personally own a backhoe, a track hoe, and 2 skid steers. 40-foot trailers, 3 of them. I mean, I have the equipment to tear this thing down. I
Do
mean,
you have the equipment to haul it off?
yeah, like I said, 40-foot oil field trailers.
But
Yep,
if
they
there
will.
are mold issues, asbestos issues,
Right.
other things like that, you can't do it without proper licensure. So all that equipment, I think, is probably helpful for clearing the debris from the property.
But not the trailer.
Correct.
My thought is, I mean, we have a reasonable price to get this trailer out of there. Perhaps it would save us a little bit of money if they're not cleaning the debris underneath it and the lot itself. So we could drop a little bit off of this maybe to get it out. But I think the town needs to just get it out.
Yes.
I mean, there's too many variables that would be put on your shoulders to try to make that your responsibility is my thought. So, and if we can save a few $100s by Mr. Fortin cleaning up the property, then we're not too far off on what our bid is to remove the trailer and what Mr. Fortin has said he is willing to pay to have it removed.
You know, and again, I'm willing to, I'm not arguing the fact that it's whatever. It needs to go. I mean, I get it. And it sucks on something I don't own where other people can make it. It would be cool if I could do that, but I don't have that power.
I think you're going to spend every bit of that, probably more, if this were put on your head to take care of.
Well, the stress part of it's worth like
There
$20,000.
you go.
Yep.
Oh, so we got a deal. Have any thoughts?
Just, I think it needs to get done. So,
So what I have written down basically is he will pay the town $3,000 to move the trailer, and he would have 30 days to remediate the rest of the property, weather permitting, after the trailer is moved from the site. That's what was proposed earlier. But if you want a date certain in the contract, I can add that.
That was it. Mr. Fortin would do all of it, right?
No, that was not
that's it, that they take the trailer and he pays us 3,000 and he takes care of the rest.
correct.
To understand, we would proceed with this bid to have the trailer removed and see if we can't negotiate a little bit off of it. And then Mr. Fortin agrees to pay $3,000 and finish cleaning up the rest of the property.
It just sucks a snowstorm hit because I would have came to this meeting and the lot would have been cleaned up. Sucks.
Well, then you
We still
should-
would've had the trailer problem though, so-
Yes, we would have,
Still would've came
Yeah.
back.
we would have still had the trailer problem,
Right.
but it would have showed you my good faith. You know what I mean? But although my good faith is already there, we were already out there for 2 days.
Well, I really liked Mr. Deli's idea that we can write this up, that if you don't meet your obligation, you owe the other $1,100 to the town. And that way we're all in agreement, we're all on the same page. And
Can 1,100 be paid by shoveling your sidewalk? Like,
Community service.
it could be a lot of sidewalks.
Yeah.
no, I agree to that.
Really, from what you've told us, it's not anything we should have to worry about. It's a little bit of peace of mind on our part. That gives a little bit of teeth to make sure that you follow through on your part. But
But
that
if
shouldn't
you're
be a
not having
concern.
to deal with the trailer,
Right.
we will. And
Right.
then you're only having to deal with the debris that you can legally take care of.
Okay. And something I want to bring up right now, so it's not like coming up later, just so, I mean, we do this, she's going to write something up. I really need to take that to an attorney to make sure that, I'm, you know what I mean? But I'm leaving town Friday for 10 days.
Here,
So you follow me?
my thought is that we're going to do this tomorrow. We're going to execute this contract. The deal is if we get this worked out with you, you're going to, in good faith, pay the $3,000, and we don't need to go get attorneys involved and go fight this with you about paying it. If you don't like the contract, we'll end up just going to court to recoup the $4,100.
Right.
So to me,
But I just wanted to throw it out there, because I want to sign it and pay the money ASAP. But like I said, I was just saying that maybe my attorney that I would go to is in court for 3 days.
Sure.
And I leave Friday for 10 days.
That's fine.
I understand that, but if she has it written up by tomorrow, if you have legal counsel and you let them know.
Again, I don't have legal counsel in this,
Okay.
but the attorneys that I use do have, trials. And if they're in trial, they won't do nothing for me.
Well, this
If
has
they're
to
at
be-
Williams Porter, they can't review this contract.
Williams Porter can't. You're right. Yes. And that's half a dozen of my attorneys right there for all kinds of stuff. But it doesn't matter. I've got Chapman Tom Valdez. He's representing me on another deal right now on the State Farm on my house burning up, or the city of Casper. They came in and burned my house up, and you guys might not know about that. But anyways, so that's a whole nother thing.
We have to get started on this, though. We can't keep coming up with excuses when this is
What-
not being taken care of.
Here's the thing, right? The town has kind of the trump card as far as I see it, right? We can do this contract and he can sign it, but you have the authority under the statutes and the ordinances to abate the nuisance and charge him for it. If he doesn't want to sign the contract as written, or his attorney and I can't come to an agreement on the terms of the contract, you can still charge him that. And if he doesn't pay it, you can file a lien on the property.
Correct.
So I will do my best to get him a contract by tomorrow. We'll just see where we go from there, but you guys can move forward, charge him, and if not, lien his property.
I don't believe signing this would slow us down. I think we enter into an agreement immediately to have this removed, in my opinion.
Okay.
Chief?
Just throwing this out there because we also use Chapman Valdez. But beyond that, listening to Mr. Fortin, you just talked about time and stress, and for what's left on the property, it would almost just save you some headache and some labor if the town just cleans it all up at the end. You're gonna have to pay somebody that works for you, right? And you got that time maybe, so whether you're paying them or you're paying us,
Him getting a new attorney.
because the trailer, the stuff that's underneath the trailer can't go until stuff's underneath of it pending, and, April is coming around, and this says completion date April 30th, that means it will be completed by April 30th. So part of me says it would almost be simpler for both you and the town, the contractor just pays it now, with the camp trailer gone and that kind of stuff, that obviously changes the $4,100, and if the town, if you say $3,000 and whatever's left beyond that, if you guys are willing to take that on the town side, I think it's a good compromise, but it saves you all the frustration of having to deal with the snow and get stuff out from underneath the trailer, because if we play the snow card in it, how long is it gonna take to get that stuff out? 2-3 weeks maybe? I mean, it's supposed to snow for a week. We're in that time of year, or the contractor comes in, done, over.
I appreciate that, Chief. However, I mean, I can keep my workers bread and butter on the table, number one, by giving them work. And number two, I mean, it saves me money. I mean, where I told you, the bid was 4,100. I just thought off the top of my head, I could do the whole thing for 3,000, without no profit. So I mean, it is a money thing. I mean, it's crazy that I'm coming in here and offering the town money to get rid of something that I don't even own. I should be put away, I mean, it's certifiable crazy. And it's crazy how a entity has that power,
The statute says the property owner, therefore you are the property owner, making it responsible.
Chief.
I don't want to regress here, so,
I've seen the work I do, and I've cleaned up a lot of yards for Mr. Gordon, and I've done it in a timely manner.
We did everything that the community officers ever asked
I
us.
did all that
Ever.
row of trailers.
And the
where
chief has
Frank's
ever
is.
asked us.
I appreciate all of that.
If I may. All of this is frankly irrelevant, and I appreciate they're saying they have a good record with the town. I'm not gonna dispute that at all, but it's frankly irrelevant, okay? The town has the ultimate authority to abate the nuisance. You have a bid for $4,100. Do it. Mr. Fortin can either pay you the $3,000 that we have an oral agreement for tonight, or if we're not going to do a contract, that's fine. You don't have to pay me attorney's fees to do a contract. He doesn't have to pay an attorney to review the contract and negotiate with me. To me, it makes sense just to go forward, and Mr. Fortin, showing good faith, will say, yes, I will write you a check for $3,100 and I can do up a release.
Well, verbal contract is legal and binding in the state of Wyoming, and it's pretty obvious that I've agreed to a verbal contract here, and it's on tape, I'm sure. So,
As long as we have your word, then we're gonna go with that.
yeah, I mean,
I am, we haven't voted on it.
Okay.
I am agreeing.
So do I have a motion to proceed with this contract in full and get the property cleaned up in total? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
last thing I want to say, I apologize for even having to come in front of here, and I just
Please do double check with the town and make sure that we have your address correct, because I do have 2 letters here that were sent to 2 different addresses. One 410 Properties. Oh, sorry, 726 North McKinley Street.
And that is a cold storage I use now. It used to be my office, but the mailbox sits on the street.
I have
And
another address of 7296 East Lake Drive.
that is correct. And I get all my mail there.
Okay.
And, there is a private contractor that delivers the mail out there, and
Okay. I just want to make sure that we
so not
have the
everything happens.
correct address. So but-
Is there
Yes.
any other addresses that we should have on file?
No, just that address is going to be the only one to send me stuff to.
I'm
That's 7296.
sure after this today, you're going to make sure that we're not in this situation before. As a property owner, you're responsible. So if a place gets run down, I assume you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that it gets taken care of before we get to this point, I would assume.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
We appreciate you coming in.
Sorry, I apologize again.
Just for council's note, I am moving law firms on April 1 from Wellborn Sullivan to Crowley Fleck. So I will update the town with my contact information.
Thank you very much for all the time and effort you put into this for us.
Do you have one of your cards on you? Just
Actually,
to make sure. Okay.
sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we leave?
Yes, absolutely. Unless you just would like to stay, more than welcome. Thank you very much. All right, item number 3, Ordinance 2, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, council brought before you tonight is ordinance 2-2021. This is an ordinance amending and updating the Evansville Employee Handbook. This ordinance was brought before you on first reading the 22nd of February and brought before you for second reading on the 8th of March, 2021. And this is an ordinance where we are making some additions to the employee handbook where it's adding employee hiring and background checks policy, employee mental health policy, workplace drug and alcohol testing policy, additions and changes, and the whistleblower and special reporting policy brought before you tonight at third final reading.
Have any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2-2021? Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 3-2021.
Mr. Mayor, Council, brought before you tonight is ordinance 3-2021. This is an ordinance where we're going in and adding the Article 5, the zoning code, to include urban agricultural, residential and urban agricultural zoning districts, and edit to all references of mobile homes in Article 3 through 6 of the Evansville zoning code, and it's brought before you tonight on second reading.
I would like to update everyone on this as far as it goes towards the manufactured home timeframe that was removed. We have a meeting with the county code enforcement officer next week. We were unable to get it in time for this, so that we can kind of discuss sort of language in that. I believe everybody did receive a copy of the county's ordinances, and the county actually is stipulate they only inspect things that are 20 years or older. This is what the county goes with. So I feel we need to work with the county, since they are our code enforcement piece on this, and determine what's reasonable. Because my concern would be that we can't expect the county just to take a large burden on. So I think having that discussion to come up with some sort of wording that would work with everybody is an important component of this. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to have that discussion yet.
So can we table this?
We absolutely can.
I'd like it to be tabled.
Do I, so I have a motion to table
I'll second
the second reading? Second, all those in favor?
that.
Aye.
All right, we will table ordinance 3-2021. Item number 5, discussion of trailers parking on streets. Do we have anybody who would like to comment on trailer discussion? Anybody in the audience? Anybody? I would like to add this one, if everyone's okay, to the next meeting as well. We've
Yes.
provided opportunity for public input, so. All right, with no discussion, we'll move on to item number 6, the Planning and Zoning Commission appointments.
Mr. Mayor, Council, brought before you tonight is a list of 5 members that have put forth names of interest that are interested in serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Marvin Roan, Jim Kalb, and Stan Bell have been serving on the Evansville Commission, and Phil Hines and Mike Stipa have presented their names as interest in serving on the commission. What we would like to do is set them up with terms and run those terms to run the same as the mayor and town council's terms. And so when I was putting forth the terms, I just threw dates out there. You guys are more than welcome to put whatever dates you would like as far as the terms that those members' terms would expire, but those are the names that I would like to present for approval for members to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Discussion? This would give us a full board again. So I know we've struggled at a few meetings to get a quorum, so
Yes.
do I have a motion to approve the 5 nominees?
Go ahead and motion it.
Or a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item 7, the proposal of the grant writer. So this is one I asked to be put on. We've been applying for a lot of grants, especially through the fire department. We've received grants for ballistic vests. Chief has gotten a couple of grants for some radios, so it's the fire department. There's a lot of opportunities out there for grants and stuff to help improve the town. And we have a lot of projects that we could really help with some grant money, because of course we can't afford to pay for it all. So what I'm proposing is that we create a part-time position who is really focused on finding and obtaining these grants. It is a bit overwhelming. There are so many grants, so specific on what they're allowed to be used for. So I know the town has put forth a lot of effort to make sure that we're looking for those, but everybody has another job. So my thought was is if we could dedicate a few hours of time from someone who's specifically out for this purpose, that it would hold the town in good and hopefully let us apply for some additional grants that we may not be looking at right now. So my thought was is a part-time position. We have a gentleman that's been working on the fire department grants who has shown interest in potentially filling this position. So with that, I asked Janelle and Lexi to work up some proposals on dollar amounts and we could pay a part-time position. I believe that spreadsheet was sent to everybody ahead of time so they could look. I've done a little bit of investigation myself, and grant writing's a pretty sought after position. I don't feel that we can quite meet that financial burden that it warrants in a lot of places. So my recommendation would be that we look at the higher rate of $16 an hour as a part-time employee. To come in, that's 15 hours a week. The way it breaks down, if we were to start that now and get through the rest of the year, it'd be $3,500 that we would put in. My suggestion is that we would use our COVID reimbursement funds in order to fund the rest of this year. And then for next year, we're going through the budget process and we would include that into the budget for that part-time position. So that is the proposal I bring forth tonight for council. Discussion.
I've actually read over this and I've actually done a little bit of homework on it as well. And $16 is, if he's agreeing to that, is a bargain for grant writing.
Yeah.
And he's very good at what he does. I've already spoke to a couple of people. I spoke to the chief. He knows what he's looking for, and that's what we need.
And so everybody knows this gentleman assisted us in writing the COVID reimbursement grant that we were awarded from the state as well. So. All right, further discussion? Have a motion to approve this part-time position? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
And I said the 16.
Yes, ma'am. And my figures actually anticipated that starting beginning in April. So I think we'll want to get a conversation together rather quickly and see if we can get the ball rolling.
So, chief?
All right, that number 8, public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening? Public comments.
I would just like to encourage anybody out there listening and people in the audience that next week when we have the meeting, we will be bringing up about the trailer parks and parking in the streets. So, or 2 weeks, I'm sorry.
3 weeks.
3
3
weeks.
weeks.
Oh, my goodness. Our next council meeting.
April 12th.
April 12th. Anybody and everybody that would like to put in their words as to why we think.
Can they still call in?
No, they need to show up at the
I
meeting.
know that was some questions on Facebook. If people can still call in.
Be happy if they would like to call in and give us their thoughts. I mean, I'd be happy to read them if we could.
So call in during the working hours.
Yeah,
and
call
leave a
them ahead of
message.
time. Yeah. Or email would
Or
probably be
email.
easier, so then it's in your own words. But I think we'd be happy to read those thoughts.
But I want to encourage everybody out there that we want to hear from you so that we make the right decision for you.
Absolutely.
Is that including all types of trailers?
So it's looking at right now the trailer ordinance, and excuse me, I can't totally off the top of my head. I believe it's travel trailers. I believe it's enclosed trailers, boats, RVs, things.
Well, my mom has a flatbed trailer on her trailer. So
Don't believe,
I think it's all trailers.
It's all trailers. So yes.
Is it?
will.
Okay.
So we'll get something figured out.
so. Well, this is the time for everybody to come express their opinion so that we can look at changing the ordinance or not. I mean, it may choose that the ordinance everybody likes as is, and that's where we stay. So, but this is the time for everybody to express their opinion, give us their opinion so that we can take that into account as we can take this item under consideration. All right. I think I called public comment. Anymore? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn at 8:09. We did, but we never win. Discussion, but that was as far as it went. Because he used to